Art of Hobbiness. My name is Tam, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Erin Tam. That's basically like my radio.
I know,
DJ.
every time.
So, just to jump right into it.
Yes, let's do it.
We recently did an episode with Caitlin Seigenthaler. I think I'm saying her last name right. I'm so sorry, Caitlin, if I'm mispronouncing it there. And she is the host of the Return podcast, right? And so she kind of came on our show and talked a little bit about human design, right? And for those that don't remember what human design is, Erin, could you kind of walk us through again as a reminder?
Yeah, absolutely. I can give us a breakdown. So I am no means an expert on this,
No,
but this was both a new idea to me and Tam. I had never heard of human design. Have you?
No, never heard of it before then.
And it was kind of really eye-opening just before I get into the definitions of it. I felt like we both were like, wow, this makes so much sense.
It does.
And we thought it was such a cool idea to apply this to, like, anybody can utilize this to apply it to many areas of life, but specifically the hobby life for us, right? And so we had a really great conversation with Caitlin, and we both went on to, like, figure out what our human design is, and we're like, wow, this makes so much sense.
Yes.
So there's 5 different types of human design. And it's based on, like, your chakras and astrology stuff. I don't know how that works, but we have she shared a link with us to find your human design, and we can share that with you as well at the end. So,
but it produces like 5 types, right?
There's 5 types, right? So there's 5 types. So there's the manifestor, the generator, the manifesting generator, the projector, and the reflector. So I was like, what the heck is all this stuff? Right? I never heard these terms. So the manifestor is someone who is the initiator of, like, who sparks ideas and actions. So they like create ideas. Okay, the idea person. And then the generator is someone who is just, like, kind of what it sounds like. They're, like, energy producing. So they're just people in your life that just give off energy. They are very, like, vibrant and full of life. Okay. And then the manifesting generator is similar. They also give out a lot of energy, but they're, like, fast-moving multitaskers. Okay. So probably, like, the next level of energy, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I really thought you were. But no.
Spoiler alert.
No, sorry.
I'm not.
No, okay. And then the projector is someone who guides people. That's what I kind of attribute more to not behind the scenes, I guess, overseeing, and they're a little bit more calmer. They need to regenerate their own energy, or they don't, like, produce their own energy. So, and then the reflector is someone who mirrors the environment, who's a little bit more sensitive to just what's going on around them.
Gotcha.
So those are kind of the 5 types. And do you want to share with what you were?
I do.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we already kind of alluded to. But, like, just to kind of, like, reiterate, so, like, those 5 types, as we understand it, is supposed to be, like, the human design is supposed to be this way of, like, deconditioning the person that you kind of feel that you're supposed to be and going back to the actual natural you, right?
Yeah, like your energy levels.
It's kind of like a personality test,
a little bit.
Right?
That's what it is. I know it's probably much more in depth than that.
Yes.
It's based on
We're just not experts in it.
Right. But it's based on your date of birth, the time you were born, and where you were born. Just those 3 simple facts is all you need to figure, like, for habit to tell you what you are. So, yeah.
So, Erin and I actually were guests on Caitlin's show, and that's where you and I figured out what we were. So we tried to guess first, which we both guessed accurately. But I was a generator. Right. Surprise, surprise.
Yes.
And Erin, you were?
The projector.
Yes.
Yeah.
But which we found actually kind of through Caitlin's coaching kind of actually helps us work harmoniously together.
Yeah.
It's like the yin to the yang, right?
No, it's really, like, eye-opening. It makes sense when you start to reflect on the hobbies you're naturally drawn to or not drawn to, that you don't really, vibe with. So, yeah, I think it's something that is just one more thing to consider when you're picking a hobby.
Well, yeah, because we were on Caitlin's show, right? And she basically, provided us, like, our background a little bit and told us a little bit about what those titles meant for us, those personality types, right? And you and I haven't stopped talking about it since because we had so much fun learning about it. And so if you are looking to figure out what human design is and what your personality traits are, we highly recommend you go and check out this podcast, the Return podcast. But we were like, okay, so we got to, I know we've had her on our show, and I know that we kind of talked about what that is with Caitlin. But we were like, okay, we should also, like, have an episode, like a follow-up episode that talks about like hobbies that a person could try once they identify what their, their type is. Because I feel like, once you kind of decondition down to, okay, let's start from scratch, right? You're on this journey to start from scratch and go back to peeling back the layers of this business woman who's, expected to always produce and do all this, right?
Yeah.
You're wanting to peel back all the layers, get to the basics. That's a really good place to start.
It is a really good place to start because I feel like we both fell in the trap of choosing things that we didn't end up liking because probably just didn't really suit our energy, You
just thought that's what we wanted to be.
Yeah,
or
kind
that's
of.
What
or that was what
do.
we should do, right? Yeah. So I think that really helps to just refocus on who you are and just that's who you are.
Yeah.
You can't change that.
No.
So
we took those personality types and we were like, okay, so like what if there was like a list that we could provide the audience of hobbies that they could try that would probably line up pretty well with that personality type. Yeah. And I think you've got the list,
I did. I came up with the list of these different ones. So we can kind of go through them.
Yeah. I said just pick a type.
All right,
give me a list of.
All right. So the generator, which is what you are, what Tam was, high energy.
No. You're misreading it. Where was it?
Yeah. No. So the generator is the deeply satisfied creator. So enjoys things that are engaging and repetitive. The tip that would be to follow things you're drawn to in the moment, even if it seems unproductive. So specific examples were gardening, painting, baking, which I know you're like, baking?
There. I'm like, number 3, Erin. Let's think about that.
Puzzles, knitting, surprisingly, was on the list. But anything hands-on and energizing. So, some of those aren't necessarily, it depends on what you're looking for. But
I would agree, hands-on and energizing. And I really like how you said, like, it's like kind of follow what you were feeling in the moment. Because I do feel that I call it like my squirrel brain, like how it's like squirrel. But really, it really is just me just following how I feel in the moment and just going for something.
Right.
And I
think about your specific hobbies that you've done that you really like.
Well, like when I was tying flies.
Yeah. The bird watching, it seemed like you kind of liked that.
I did like bird watching,
Yeah.
I like my repetitive tasks.
Air dry clay.
I loved that one because it was just like kind of meditative. I got my hands in there. I was molding, doing all that. One could argue that me playing with my Polly Pockets. That's my hands on. I got to move that little Polly across that little kitchen. She's got to get to the space bar.
But stuff that's engaging for you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I feel like I can totally speak to the generators. Those are the things you want to try. Am I going to jump for baking? No.
I know.
But spoiler alert, baking is coming down the pipeline. So maybe when I try it after I've experienced hobbies and have a new outlook on it, maybe baking could be the thing. I just didn't know.
That would be interesting. That would be incredible. That would be mind-blowing.
Wouldn't that be
It really would be. That would be.
What if I'm like, Erin, now our next venture is we're opening a bakery and you're going to manage it while I bake?
That would be insane.
That would be insane.
Wow.
That would be a testament to our friendship.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be fun. All right. So the next one is the manifesting generator, which is the, like, in my mind when I was reading about this, like the higher energy, even above the regular
that's
generator.
You thought I was. Kind of. You were like, Tamara's not just a generator. Bump it up a notch.
Well, it's defined as like a multitasking person. It seems like you like to do a lot of, dabble in a lot of hobbies. So anyways, back to it though. They like faster pace, exciting, maybe more exciting hobbies.
Okay.
So some examples would be dancing, fitness classes, do-it-yourself projects, travel. So things you're like on the go and like. Yeah.
I was thinking initially like thrill seeking, like surfing.
Yeah, I think that would probably be in there too. That would definitely be. So yeah, I think the tip was to let yourself pivot, and play isn't meant to be linear. So like you're kind of like all over the place.
Okay.
Just going with your heart's desire.
Wherever your heart takes
like travel,
you.
I think probably would be perfect for that kind of person, right?
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
It's all over the place. So the next was the projector, which is who I am. So somebody who is more really needs recognition for things and rest. So the play type is a little bit more quiet, meaningful, less output, more in depth. And so hobbies would be more like reading, journaling, watercolor, like painting, nature walks, slower crafts, things like that.
Which let's just take a moment here, right? Okay, so we talked about how fitting generator was for me. How fitting is Projector for you?
Yes.
We literally just had a conversation in which we talked about how for you it was more of like a less is more kind of thing. And you really found that like when you had a healthy balance of peace and hobby and mom and business, that like
it's perfect. Yep.
You kind of feel like right now, like you are right in a place where your cup is full.
Yeah, I agree.
And like that's literally telling you that.
Yeah, like I can't if I do too much, I get just drained, you know, like I can't, and then I get overwhelmed and it's just a vicious cycle, right? So yes, anything that's more like slow, restful is definitely my speed.
So you like you would agree that that's totally you.
I do agree.
By definition.
I do. Wow. I agree. You know, some of it crosses over, but I think generally that is what helps my energy level for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is.
I think whenever, because like I love to travel. Because one thing that's specific on here, like the travel, I actually love to travel.
You do.
However, it is exhausting for me too. Like I almost feel like I need a vacation for my vacation.
Yeah.
You know? Like so maybe it's just like very draining for me.
Yeah.
You know?
It's something you enjoy but still drains.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the next one is the Manifestor. So that was someone who likes to initiate their own things. So this would be like more creative person's kind of how I recognize or like the way when I was reading about it. So writing music, creating something from scratch, you know, inventing things, stuff like that.
God, that seems like the hardest personality
type.
I agree. You agree?
Yes, I agree. I was like, I'm trying to think who I know who's like that.
That's what I was just trying to think. Yeah. Like, we actually had somebody on our show that we interviewed early on, Drew.
Yeah.
I feel like if we think about just the guests that we've been on our show that our audience could try to reflect back on as well, I bet Drew would fit very well into that. He was the guy that
he
we
might be
called.
Manifesting Generator though, because he's all
You might be right. We need Caitlin on the show right now. Do you ever on speed dial?
I know.
Caitlin, can you help us?
I think Manifestors remind me of somebody who might be like I don't know, somebody who's like an artist by trade, you know, and they're just in their art studio. Nobody interrupt me because I need to.
Gosh, that just seemed like my mind can't even wrap around.
Right. I don't really know a lot of people like that.
Like the other ones, I feel like I can be like, I can see me pulling from that bank a little bit. I can see me pulling from that. That one, I'm like, not even close.
Same. I'm not
miles away.
I agree. So, and then the final one was the Reflector. So that was the mirror, the one that feeds off the environment. So needing alignment with the environment. So the play, you change, I think it's somebody who is affected by other people's energy a lot. So it depends on who you're with and where you are.
Okay.
So,
what kind of hobbies for that?
So, group activities, potentially, depending on what it is. Photography, travel would be another one for this one, you know. So yeah, it was more, I think,
almost seems more like experience-based hobbies for that personality type. Like they need to actually, so like for Christmas, they're not asking for things. They're asking for memberships places. Right. So that they can kind of actually go and experience those things.
I agree with that. So like their play type would kind of change depending on the environment.
Yeah, you know? I see that.
So maybe a little more chameleon.
Ooh.
Able to go in a lot of different directions.
That's another interesting one. I feel like those last two are very, very unique.
Yeah, I wonder what, I'd be curious. Caitlin, where are you? No, to know the percentage breakdown of the population. Because I know she said the Projector, which is what I am, is a smaller percentage. I think she said 20%, if I remember correctly.
Holy cow.
But anyways, so it's interesting, you know, it's just something to think about because like I definitely have experienced hobbies or just anything in life if I feel drained by it or if it's just too stimulating, it's like I get overwhelmed, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think we talked about early on how like when we before doing the podcast, we're trying to figure out what hobbies we wanted to do, right? Like I was Googling and Google was like, here's 3. And it was always the same 3. Every 6 months if I Google it, I got the same 3. And none of those 3 spoke to me. Well, if you're that same person, had I known about human design, I would have tried to do this. So this is me recommending to you, why don't, instead of going to Google and just Googling hobbies and pick those 3, first take this human design test and figure out what your human, like, you know, your basic trait is. Peel back all the layers to decondition to that person. Yeah. And then look for hobbies that fall on that bank and try those hobbies first.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to start, for sure, to figure out what's good for you.
Yeah. I feel like if
we all wear all these masks. We've built up these masks through our lives of like pretending to be who we're not, right?
Who we think we're supposed to be, who we should be, you know, because we're always talking about how those millennial women always have these shoulds, right? And like we're trying to talk about getting rid of those shoulds. And I think that's what kind of human design is trying to do, is trying to get rid of those shoulds in your life and take you back to just who you are naturally.
Agreed.
And, you know, if you're trying then to try to explore like the hobbies, I mean, it just that gives you 2 steps into trying to figure out who you are and redirecting your life. Was it Dolly Parton? It probably was. That said, if you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one.
I mean, that sounds like her.
I think that, I'm not sure that was a direct quote, but it's something along those lines, right? And I feel like that's exactly what human design is like, just stop where you're at. If you're already feeling like this isn't, like, I'm not happy, this isn't where I'm at, I want to be in a different place, pull it all back, start paving another road. Well, human design can be your first step, hobbies your second step, and then let's see where that takes you for the third step, because maybe you find the third step on your own. I'm sure there's a life beyond the hobby. It's just not where we're at.
No, but I think it's one more step to finding who you, like, your authentic self. You know, because to do that, and you know, we're not just saying that, I don't know, like it's trendy or something.
Yeah, we're really
It's more
not.
just trying to find joy, happiness, right?
And we just fully support us having that. We fully support other millennial women having that. We support really anybody having that.
And we're a testament to that it does truly help to like have the self-discovery.
Absolutely. Fully agree.
Yeah.
Well, I would encourage everyone to go check out Caitlin from the Return Podcast.
And we'll put in the link for the for that.
Yes, we'll put a link for her podcast and for the personality test, or not personality test, I'm sorry, the human design test, so that you can figure out which one you are. And then I recommend you listening to this episode of our podcast to figure out which hobbies you should try from that bank and see where life takes you.
Yeah.
You're 2 steps in. There's 1, 2. Thanks for listening to us.
We hope you join us again next time. We'd love to connect with you on socials and follow us here. All right.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Art of Hobbiness. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review. And for more Erin and Tam fun, be sure to follow us on all socials for behind-the-scenes footage on our journey to find hobbiness.